I would like to give a totally different flavor to this subject because what Jatin has spoken with regard to the disruptions and a lot of innovations that company has done. In fact, my entire content is based on book of my daughter of 5 years, and I'll make it more interactive. The essence is going into the genesis of change, why we look for change. Let's go into retrospection and find the reasons. For that, I'll have certain questions and let's see, and very simple ones, and let's see how do we answer because I want to derive a corollary to explain why we as human beings would love to change, or rather go for change. In class 5 mathematics, my daughter is in class 5, I read a wonderful word in maths, which is line segment, and ray. Can anyone explain the difference? What is a line, what is a line segment, and what is a ray?
Ray is that touches
Line
the
is a
circumference of,
Fantastic.
line.
and line segment has a two arrows at the end.
I think, yeah, indefinite. It's infinity.
Fantastic.
And line segment is, it's not infinite. It is certain length, and ray
Absolutely.
is actually
So to share, absolutely. Ray is just like a torch you are holding in your hand and it goes infinite. It has a starting point. Very correct. Line is infinite. From here it's stretched to infinite limits. There it's stretched to infinite limits. And a line segment has a start point, A to B, X, Y. Fantastic. Uh, we also must have learned, read about mythology. What are the four yugas? Anyone aware? What are the four yugas? Yug, yug.
Dwapar.
Fantastic, fantastic.
So that's the fifth one.
Okay. That's good enough. Okay. We've heard of four only. Now let's get the essence out of these two examples. What corollary is to be derived out of this? We as human beings would be associated with more of line segment, or a ray. I mean, if I want to do a personification, we as human beings, with which we would identify the more. Fantastic. Now, in terms of four yugas we are talking about, let's have just a one-line statement as to what these yugas are all about and what they emphasize upon, because that's the basic genesis of change, which Jatin also articulated in his discussion with a lot of companies coming, shutting up, technological innovations, and other things. When it comes to Satyug, it is actually felt that good and the evil existed in different loks. You have a Devlok and you have a Danavlok. The change that happened from Satyug to Dwapar was very simple, that good and evil existed on the same land. And the example is the Ram and the Ravana. When we reach to Dwapar Yug, the good and the evil came in the same family, that is the Kauravas and Pandavas, right? And in Kalyug, or Ghor Kalyug, as sir articulated, the good and the evil lies within ourselves, right? Now, with these two examples, what is the essence that I wanted to derive? Very simple. Prima facie, if you are looking at a line, probably human beings identify more with a line because we have a start point and we have an end point. I would say a ray is more of a superhumans, right? Superhumans would be more of a farce kind of a concept, but we can say that something beyond our reach. You know, we are on 12th floor, there's a fire, and we expect suddenly a superhuman or a Krish type of a person would come and save us. So let's stop at that only because that's not the point of discussion. And line is actually God. Maybe I would use the word nature, maybe a power. Let's leave it that only, right? So the essence of drawing change is very simple, that we identify ourselves with a line. So a line is having a limit. We have a start point and we have an end point from A to B. Two, we have got both the good and the evil within ourselves. So I'll use a word, उससे हम बहुत खुराफाती बन जाते हैं, but a polished way of saying it is making us more aspirational, right? If we further drill down into mythology, probably the Christian mythology is in obedience of God. God is superpower and we are abiding to his will. But it is the Greek mythology which says that human being or mankind is in the center. it does not challenge the existence of God, but it says that we have an immense potential, right? So now joining all the three threads that yes, we as human beings have a limited lifespan. We are aspirational, the good and the evil exist within ourselves. And on top of it, we have an immense potential to challenge, which Jatin articulated. I am sure all the fellow panelists would further be speaking upon the immense potential. I read one of the very controversial quote, but I still love to share. Without an offense to anyone, it says that God may have limits, technology does not have any limit, quote unquote. So it is because of our limited time span that we want to really disrupt, we want to change, we want to unveil something new. It is our aspirations. And thirdly, because of this immense potential that we have as human beings, probably these were the changes which Jatin articulated in his presentation, and he used one line which I really loved. It's all about learning, unlearning, and relearning. Right. So that was just a fine attempt to understand that why, as human beings, we look for change, and when we do have a retrospection dive in terms of our own existence, कि हमारा अपना वजूद क्या है. So I find these answers. So I thought, let me just start with that, and it also would give a perspective that in the entire ecosystem, in the entire nature, in the entire universe, in the entire solar system, where are we as human beings? I used one word that we've got immense potential. That's the reason we are changing. I read one line in Jatin's presentation, change itself is changing. But I'll give you one more example. Again, class 5 science, my daughter's notebook. In the entire solar system, and that's a wonderful data, even you will get surprised by it, and that's something which is very close to my heart. Many people would say we have felt nature because every time we feel air, we understand the humidity. But I think the biggest example of nature is sun, because sun in the entire universe, it's a wonderful data that we talk about human potential, we talk about earth, but I'm talking about the solar system. In the entire solar system, the sun constitutes 99.8% of the weight. So why I have given this example? On one hand, we are talking about unlimited potential of human being, but on the other account, 8 planets and the sun, we are just peanuts. So someone was just talking that potential is immense, right? So classic example, sun, and I feel that's a real live God that you see anytime, every time, because in the night when you sleep with the notion that tomorrow sun will rise, and it's happening from eternity, and it will happen since eternity. So I will not call God or power, there is a nature behind that, right? So which is supremely powerful. Now, what sense I am making is in change management, any change which is happening around us, which is disruptive in nature, should not interfere with the natural process, and it is not interfering with the natural process. Very common corollary, a baby is born in 9 months, and it will be born in 9 months. Technology can't interfere because there are certain laws that are made by nature which are not to be touched and are to be respected. That's one way of looking at it. Second thing, I would like to use this subject not from the organizational perspective, but you as individual, how I am adapting myself to the change. And I'll just be boiling it down to very two simple things in my next 2 minutes, which is health and wealth. Because as an individual, we are being exposed to change. We are talking about technological disruptions. There are a lot of things happening. There are a lot of stress. There are a lot of pollution. There are a lot of electromagnetic rays around us. There's a lot of heat. So somewhere it is important to take care of your health, because obviously if you are mentally and physically fit, you will be there to see the change. Otherwise, you will not be even there to be part of this change. Now, why I'm making this statement? Because it comes from a very simple data point that whatever we are eating these days, this is a new term that's been given to us, which is called organic food. Organic food कुछ नहीं होता, वो natural तरीके से जो आप उगाते हैं उसे ही बोलते हैं, जो बरसों से होता था. Now because of demand, because of faster supply chains, हम उसमें pesticides डाल के उगाते हैं. So I read one of the wonderful articles which find that a lot of vultures are actually dying. So they find that vultures are eating the rodents, and rodents are eating the pesticides that's being put in the agricultural land in order to have the agricultural output faster and higher. So why I'm sharing this point is that if rodents are eating that, and if a vulture is eating a rodent, look at the amount of chemical that's going from an individual, from a predator to its prey. So we are really exposed to a world which has a lot of pollution, which has a lot of rays. So that's the reason I really want to emphasize on the health part of it, because obviously for withstanding the change, you have to be really physically and mentally fit. So that's the reason the focus is on individuals. Though Jatin did touch about the kind of jobs and individual pressures that you would face with robots and the chatbots and the Elizas of the world playing the music in one go. So that's the reason that you have to be really physically and mentally fit to withstand the change. Another example of change management which I want to give, and wherein everyone might believe, because I read a wonderful line, there's a very thin line of difference between astrology and astronomy. If I may ask you, you'll say, okay, I do believe in astronomy because that's all about study of universe, but I don't believe in astrology. Mera haath mein kya likha hai? I'm least concerned about that. But just wanted to make one point that, when high tides happen, समुंदर की लहरें अपने उठान पे कब होती हैं? During full moon. Absolutely, yeah. During full moon at night. Now, the movement of moon can cause a lot of changes, a lot of current in water, right? And human body is 90% water. It does have a lot of impact on we as an individual in terms of our behaviors. Right. So that's again one very important point to stay healthy, both physically and mentally. That's the first message I wanted to give. And second, in terms of wealth, in terms of what Jatin also shared in his presentation, is a lot of disruption happening. Kodak making a camera, BlackBerry close to my heart. In fact, I used it for 5 years. And then obviously because of technological changes, they could not withstand, and they eventually evaded out of the screen, or they actually disappeared. So second point is more with regard of disruption management. So I would make one very simple thing that, it's all about understanding your skill sets. He also harped on working on your strengths. I would say one very simple thing: be very clear what you can't do, so that you will get a lot of answers in terms of what you can do. And in terms of someone who's been into the industry for 18 years, I would say technology companies are the biggest change leaders. Simultaneously, yes, it has a lot of impact in terms of employment per se. So what is the kind of skill sets that we need to imbibe? So that's the reason I would focus on this point in terms of what you can't do. Actually, just throw it out of the window and focus on what you can do. Because time and again, when it's not good to compare, but then we are human beings, we compare. The only answer that I find in someone who is doing good and someone who might not be doing good is all about being at the right place at the right time. Now, it's more of a statement. How do we ensure that we are at the right place at the right time? Not going by the instincts, but understanding what your ecosystem is all about. That's the reason that even in the registration session, we were talking about the opportunities that are available. Maybe in our case, I view individual's career, technically 58 is the retirement age in Indian setup. You do 10th till 7th, you do graduation till 20, you do post graduation till 22. So 22 to 40 is 18 years, and 40 to 58 is next 18 years. That's how I see myself. Since I've touched 40, so I've 18 years of career gone by. Happy to share that once I look back my career, आप Indian mentality में जब एम्प्लॉयमेंट ढूंढने जाते हैं तो आप अपने रिज्यूमे में देखते हैं ठीक है जी टाटा भी है बिरला भी है अंबानी भी है दीज वर द ग्रेट बिजनेस हाउसेज दैट वन कैन थिंक ऑफ बट आई थिंक nowadays that's not the right way and probably I would say it was never the right way to look at your career. It's all about understanding your skill sets and aligning yourself to an industry which also Jatin spoke which would last for long. Yes, I fully agree and vouch technological industries and it's an eye opener for us also. Jatin, thanks a ton for compiling that data that five of top Fortune 500 companies would have curtailed tenure. So where do my skill sets, where do your skill sets would fit in? The answer is let's get ourselves or try to get ourselves as a conscious effort in an industry which I can think of being in next 15 years, next 20 years. So something on a lighter side, though I spoke, and I would still be sharing from this forum. Probably we would be, Pooja, coming to these alumni meets for next 25 years, and next 25 years, probably our kids would come. So what I am emphasizing is education. Industry would always be there. We've got someone who's representing insurance. I would say health and hospitality is another industry that will last. Entertainment is another industry that will always be there. If you have got an engineering background, probably then you could think of, being part of these disruptions, coding kind of a thing. It's always important. I really liked one more word which Jatin said, being a Me Too types, because time and again, we realize that if we can't be the first ones, let's join something which is more of the need of the hour. I really, in any forum, read two buzzwords. One is the artificial intelligence, and second is data analytics. I'm happy to share that in last 2 years, I've done black belt from Indian Statistical Institute. I've done one course from IIM Bangalore from in customer relationship management. So, a sense is keep picking these skills. Try to be in an industry wherein you can be associated for next 5 years. Reassess yourself, give yourself next 5 years as to where you will be. And finally, in all these interviews, because he also spoke about people being interviewed, question like where do you see yourself in next 5 years are not just asked for the sake of being asked, because now I've been seeing it from the other side. Why we ask these questions, or rather why we were asked these questions 20 years back, was to just check our mindset as to what is my vision, what is my understanding, what I want to become in next 5 years. So that's the reason that probably I'm happy, which you said that I'm happy I'm 40, rather I would have been happier if I have been 50. Now, why I'm making this statement? Yes, 50. Why I'm making this statement? And I'll have a very hearty example to share. In Vodafone Idea, we got one CEO. The day the merger was announced, we had a circle head of UP West who was retiring. And mark my words, I was jealous of him. I said I would have been happy being 58 on that very day, because when the going gets tough, I would say I have done my bit. I have given enough and more, and I have reached at the stage. Probably that's a very defensive statement which I have made. But why I am sharing? Because it's a alumni meet. I would have never shared such statements in any professional forum. But these are fellow colleagues, so it will be good to speak your heart out. That I am 40, I have still got 18 years ahead of me. So how do I ensure that where would I plan for next 18 years? Even after having such wonderful brands, even after having this much of experience, mark my words, industry has never been kind to anyone unless and until you're an entrepreneur. So even in entrepreneurship also you have to keep re-innovating yourself. So now is the time to actually invest on yourself. Spend time within yourself. And finally, I would like to make one concluding statement from Sadhguru. Though I am no fan of these gurus, I said, look for guru in yourself. That with every breathe in and breathe out, there is a beautiful life. So make the most of it. Take right decisions. Be at right place at right time. Introspect yourself, and I'm sure you would be having more of wins. You would find yourself reaching at a place where you intend to be, and probably that's the best way to manage whatever disruptions that are happening around you. Thank you very much.